Okay, we're here. It's time for our Ask Me Anything episode. It's Thanksgiving week 2024.
Yes.
Mandy, how was your weekend?
Amani, my weekend was great. So, right? We've got the holidays.
Yeah.
And, Thanksgiving marks the beginning of all the holidays. So I feel like this weekend was the thing. It was the last time I got to like chill out and hang out. This weekend.
That's you. That's your
Wait,
voice. Go ahead.
wait. Well, hold on. Just hold on. Just for everybody watching or listening, Amani is always like, Mandy, once the trailer starts, don't talk. Mandy, if you're gonna watch the show on your phone while we're doing the interview, turn your volume down. And you just witnessed this, everybody.
Yes.
Amani, what just happened, Amani, on your end?
We just had a little bit of an occurrence where my volume was up. Yes.
Practice what you preach, Amani. Practice
Practice
what
what
you
I
preach.
preach. Yes. Okay.
Anyways,
Keep
anyways,
going.
weekend was good. We did I was in Virginia Beach last week, which by the way, I go every year because I have a top client there. But I had such a magical time in Virginia Beach last week. I went to the Moxie. I stayed at the Moxie Virginia Beach, the Moxie Hotel. It's a Marriott brand. And what a fun hotel. They had a slide. Their check-in was a bar. They had octopus art everywhere. It's right on the ocean. It was lively and colorful, and they had a cool diner and super cool boardrooms. And I was so pleasantly surprised. In fact, on Friday, we had a meeting and we started the meeting with everybody going down the slide, like grown adults going
Okay.
down the slide. It was so fun. So yeah, I got back late on Friday night, a couple flight delays. And then the
Okay.
rest of the weekend, Scoot and I just, we caught up with friends. We did separate hikes and walks. We had dinner. We had dinner at a great place in San Diego called the Remy. Have you heard of this
Okay.
before?
I have not. No.
It used to be like Hunter Steakhouse a long time ago. It was so delicious and the decor was cool. It's perfect for when it's kind of chilly out and you want to just feel all like warm and cuddly and like a
Okay. Okay.
steakhouse. Yeah, it was so good. It
Okay.
was so good. So, anyways, I had a really great weekend before, the holidays kick off. But what about you? What'd you do this weekend?
So on Friday, I went to a speed dating event.
You did it. Okay, wait, set it up. Set it up, Amani. Okay, everybody, just in case you don't know, Amani is single. He's
Mhm,
on the market. He makes
mhm.
great crab cakes and some good pies and some collard greens and the bread pudding, not the bread pudding. What's your fourth lady killer meal you make?
Maybe lemon yogurt bread, but I made a new dessert this week I'll tell you about too.
Okay. Tell us about the speed dating thing first. That's fun.
Yeah, so my
Okay,
friend Tina and Shannon, we all went together. It was a group of us because
fun.
it's good to have wingmen and wing people there. And we
Yes.
went to this date. It was probably about 14 guys there and probably about 22 women, or it was more guys
Ooh,
than girls, basically.
okay.
And you sit down, you have 7 minutes. You have 7 minutes to rotate around and have a conversation with people, and then you can connect or whatever you like. And
Okay.
so it was interesting. It was a little hectic. It was very interesting. Yeah, it was funny to share stories with my friends that were there with me. It was good. It was funny. It was good.
Okay, wait, I've got a question because I know this is Ask Us Anything. So I hope you realize you're opening with this story and this is Ask Us Anything. So anybody listening or watching, feel free to ask Amani about this speed dating. Drop your question about Amani and dating in the chat. This should be fun. But I want to know, like, did you have a standard question you were at? Like, please tell me you weren't like, "Hi, how are you?" Like, did you
Yeah.
have a standard question you were asking anybody, or did anybody show up with like costumes or questions or anything fun like that?
No one showed up with costumes. I
Boo.
think the question, like, I usually love to find out if people were like originally from Las Vegas. Where were they from? Where they grew up? Because I think that's interesting and kind of easy.
Yeah.
And then you kind of go from there. And then sometimes you're like, oh, so what do you think? After you're like an hour, you're like, ooh, this is a lot or whatever. What do you think? What inspired you to come here? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, Dean is in the chat. So what's up, Dean? And Kelly McDonald is also with us. So hello to you too.
Hi,
Um,
everybody.
that is those were kind of the questions. And then the questions kind of just morphed and people. It was interesting. It was very interesting.
Did you find a date? There was any
I
any
would
any 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 good opportunities, or was it all lame?
It wasn't all lame. I made a couple
Okay.
connections, so we'll see.
Okay.
To be continued.
Okay. Ooh, that's
I saved that.
fun.
I did mention that before when we were in the green room because I wanted to surprise you with that. So,
Oh, Monty, that's a David Letterman trick, you know? You know, that's how he used to do it. He never used to talk to a guest at all before the show, and then so
okay,
it was fresh.
it
So
was
you made it
fresh.
fresh. That was
Tim is
fun.
with us too. Tim Mulligan, our favorite co-host, is in the house. Yes, good to see you, Tim.
Hi,
You
Tim.
have
Get
your
Tim's
question?
book.
Yes,
Tim's
get his book.
Snitchland graphic novel just came out, and damn, it's so good. I
All right,
actually I'm buying it for, a couple, family members for
all
Christmas.
right.
It's so
I
good.
love it.
I'm buying the whole Tim Mulligan graphic novel set, the
It's
Witchland,
yeah.
Snitchland, all the things.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, shall we proceed with our Ask Me Anything? Okay, so Ask Me
Let's do
Anything.
it.
It helps. You have questions in the chat, put them in the chat. We'll ask them. Uh, ladies first. What's the first
Okay.
question you want to ask, Manny?
Well, I think can you share with the audience what an Ask Me Anything is? Because
Oh,
I don't know if
okay.
everybody knows this, and this is the 3rd one we've done in a little over 2 years, but I we should explain it so people
Yes.
know what they're getting into.
Yes. And Ask Me Anything, I believe it started on Reddit where different people would go and edit and they'd be like, okay, I'm here for the next hour. I'll be here at like 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Ask me any question you want, and I'll try to get through as many as I want. So basically, we announced it like last week. People can submit questions and ask us anything they want. I also have some questions I'm going to ask Mandy. Mandy's got questions for me. We got sent questions. So it's basically like an open forum. Ask us anything, whether you want to know about the show, our careers, what's going on, updates. Ask us anything and we will answer. And we'll take the next 45 minutes to answer as many as possible.
Okay, I love that. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you, Amani. Thanks for
of
that.
course. What's up,
Okay.
Anthony Graziano? Good to see you. Hello.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy?
Okay, Anthony, drop a question in the chat. Okay,
Yes.
so I have a question for you, Amani. I have a question from you directly from me. I do have other questions that people DM'd me, but I'm
Yes.
gonna start with one from me to you.
Okay.
Why do we use ping? And so I know so for the audience, everybody that does a podcast has some sort of platform they use. There's like Riverside or there's Zoom. But when we first started this, Amani said, we're going to use ping. So it's a two-parter. Why do we use ping? And 2.5 years in, is ping still what you hoped and thought it would be? Is it time to look at a new platform? Or are you steadfast on ping? I'm good with whatever you say. I'm just curious because, things change along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we use ping because it gives us better video rendering. So our video looks much better and our audio sounds much better than some of the other services, which we don't get as high quality or as clear and crisp output for our stream. That's why we use ping.
Got
The
it.
second part of your question is I'm open to trying new things, particularly if we can find a service that allows us to put comments on our page as we're streaming, because that's one thing that Ping doesn't let us do, which was one of my favorite features from StreamYard, which was the other
Mm.
option we thought of. So I'm open to trying something new, or I was the one developer that had this same technology for Twitch, but not for LinkedIn. So I'm open to trying something new if you have ideas.
I don't have any ideas. But I'm always curious because, like, there's things in my business that I was gung ho on in the beginning, and then a couple years later, I'm like,
Yeah,
that's a little obsolete, or I wanted it for this reason, but now my business has
yeah.
evolved, and maybe I'll try something else. But I do have a question. So, is Ping compatible with all the platforms? Because everybody may not know this. We're live right now, streaming on LinkedIn and streaming on YouTube. And where else are we? Are we just streaming anywhere else, or just those two
Link
places?
LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and that's it. We used to go also on to Twitter, but then they changed that and started charging, so we don't have that anymore. So YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Um, and you had said something else. What was your other question?
Well, just compatibility. Is the
Oh,
platform it sounds to me like Ping is compatible with all the places we stream, where maybe some of the other platforms aren't compatible with other things.
so all the platforms are compatible. We broadcast on Ping, but then we have an intermediary, kind of similar to how HPN is like an intermediary.
Yeah.
Like our intermediary is Restream. So we funnel everything on Ping through Restream, and then Restream allows us to send it to YouTube, LinkedIn, and all that. So really, our engine is based in Ping, but then our throttle, whatever, is based through Restream, and that allows us to send it everywhere. So like,
Oh,
and these platforms aren't free. We pay for each, but I think that's a good question. Maybe if we can find a different platform that allows us to put comments up, that's the one thing I want to add to the show.
okay, interesting, interesting. Well, thank you for
Yes,
answering that.
of
It
course.
also it brought up a business question I'll ask you offline
Yes.
also. Okay.
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 So, Mike, we got a couple here. I see Kelly's got some
Let's
comments.
yeah,
Okay,
let's take
Tim,
some
we'll get to
audience
that.
questions.
Anthony asks, "What's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?"
Oh, well, I think you should answer that, Amani. I
I
feel like
love the sweet potatoes. The sweet potatoes are my thing. Sweet potatoes, then mac and cheese, but sweet potatoes are my thing.
I feel like you make a sweet potato pie. Isn't that one
I
of your
do.
lady killers?
Yes, it
What
is.
do
It
you
is a
what do you
closer.
do? How do you
It's a
give that
closer, not a
Thanksgiving
lady killer. I don't
treat?
want to kill the ladies. I want to close the ladies.
Okay, close. Ladies, you're getting close with this sweet
I
potato
want to kill the
pie.
ladies. Yes.
What goes into it? What's the recipe? Can you tell us, or is that a
Yeah,
secret?
so you have like probably get like about 5 large sweet potatoes or yams. You have to boil them for about a good 2 or 3 hours so they get very soft. Then you put cinnamon, sugar, vanilla extract, nutmeg, a couple. I think that's basically the spices in there. And then you have a graham cracker crust. You kind of mix it all together with some butter. I kind of stay light on the butter just to cut up. You don't want to have it be too heavy. Put it in the graham cracker crust. You bake it for a good 45 minutes, then let it cool, and it's good. Usually I bake two. One I keep and take to wherever I'm going, and one I freeze for later usage.
Ooh, that's fun. Are
Yeah.
you gonna take a sweet potato pie to any Thanksgiving events this week?
Maybe it's between crab cakes or sweet potato pie. I'm still debating. I'm gonna wait till I get assigned either dessert or entree.
Okay, good. Good to know. All right, what else? Who else? What else do we have in the audience there? Oh,
Well,
my
what about
side dish.
yours? Yeah.
I uh I don't know. I really like stuffing.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to like stuffing because it's a real carb and real fatty but I think on one day I can have some stuffing and gravy. That's my fave.
Next question. Tim wants to know what is new and exciting for adventures in business in 2025. You
Oh.
go first.
Oh, did you say I go first or Google
Yes.
first?
You go
Okay.
first.
I thought you were like, "Let's Google that."
Mhm.
Okay, Tim, great question. There's so much exciting stuff happening with Adventures in Business. So, we actually had one of our YouTube shorts, a clip from a show, from Tracy Judd's show go viral last week.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that's exciting. I think we're gonna continue to grow our YouTube page, Adventures in Business Live YouTube page. We're looking for a new social media manager for our Adventures in Business Live. So anybody that you know out there looking for an easy peasy, quickie LinkedIn and Instagram posts
yeah,
throughout the month, we're looking for that. And then we are going to do a live event. I feel it in my bones. We're gonna do a live event, kinda like, a variety show, live event
mhm,
type thing, and we're going to do a trade show. I think my big takeaway last year from all these trade shows is when you have a live experience, like
mm,
you have somebody speaking or a podcast or something in a trade show booth, it draws so many people there.
yeah,
So, that's I think gonna be new and exciting for Adventures in Business Live next year. What do you think,
yeah.
Amani?
To add to that list, just continue to invest in our podcast different ways, and even refine the video, the audio, video kind of look or whatever. Adding the comments is really important to me. I'm really digging into that.
Mhm.
And just continuing to grow, maybe get some partners or sponsors too. I think that's going to come up in. I think that's the goal for this year because we've hit our stride. We're over 100 episodes. I think we're going to have some surprise guests that are going to be very influential and big the next year. I
Yep.
feel it. So that's what's coming.
Yeah, good question, Tim.
Yes. Okay. My first question for you from my long list here.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Is if you could pick one highlight from 2024 for yourself, what would you pick?
Oh boy. I don't know if I could pick just one. It's been a pretty awesome year.
I'll allow two.
Okay. Well,
I'll allow
I
two.
think I'm just gonna do the first one that comes to
Yeah.
mind. And I'll go professional and personal. How about that?
fair.
Professionally, I was on so many stages this year,
Yes, yes.
and I am the most at home and happy when I'm on a stage engaging with an audience, just whether it's a group sales coaching or speaking, it just it makes my heart sing, and I was on a lot of stages, and what that translates to for me is when you're on stage, you're helping people, and so
Mhm.
then after people come up and they tell you their story, and then they stay in touch with you, and they tell you how some tactics that you might have helped them with, they actually used, and it helped them secure more business. That was just a lingering highlight throughout the year for me professionally. And personally, I'm healthier than ever before.
Mm.
I did all my tests this year. I'm just healthier than ever before. I'm breathing great. I'm walking great. I just feel really good. I'm well rested. That comes with, I've had to spend less time with certain people that I really love, but we don't have the same habits, or we don't have the same outlook. It doesn't mean that we like each other any less. It just means surrounding myself with the concentration of those types of people all the time isn't as great for me. And who knows, I might not be good for them. So, I those were highlights, but there also comes with a little, grief or sadness or uncomfortability kind of thing too.
Well done. What's
Yeah,
your next? Well, here we have another question from the chat.
yeah. Let's hear it.
So Kelly McDonald says, "What's the most unique or unusual venue you've ever worked in for an event?"
Oh boy. Well, Amani, I feel like you've worked in a bunch of weird
I
venues
know,
too.
and I'm trying to think about which one's coming to mind. I think like, the Peterson Automobile Museum for a wedding.
Oh, yeah,
The wedding,
that's a
a
cool
wedding
venue.
amidst all these luxurious cars comes to mind. Um, I gotta think. That's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure there's more. A campground out near Santa Barbara is another one.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's
that's
fun.
that's another one. Those are the top 2 that come to mind. What about for you?
I mean, I went to a castle this summer in Berlin.
Ooh, yes,
We
you
were in
did.
a beautiful German castle, and I wore my hair in a bun, and I don't normally do that, and that was fun, a little side bun, and it was beautiful, and they had string quartet everywhere. They had, like, 4 different packs of quartets, and we were in a garden, we had champagne in a garden, and, they had, live mimes with really cool wigs and serving different desserts. It was just it was a very cool experience.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I would say
good
Berlin,
answer.
Germany this year was pretty awesome.
Good answer. Yes.
Yeah.
Mercedes Montijo. I hope I said that right. I think I tried it last week too. Um, Kelly says you fancy. By the way, Mandy.
I am not fancy. My clients like to book business in Germany, so I get invited. I am
Yeah.
not fancy. I can't believe they Kelly, I can't believe they let me in.
Mercedes' question is, what are your personal and career goals going into 2024?
She's hitting us hard here.
Yes, love it. Let's think here.
You first,
Me
Amani.
first. Ooh, child. Uh, I would say professional would be the release of my book. That's the big goal that's been done. The release of the book in
Yes.
February 18th, 2025. That will be professional. In addition to finding more coaching clients, particularly people in the music industry or hospitality professionals. Those are like professional goals. Um, Personal would be to I'm getting tomorrow. I'm going to learn how to play pickleball tomorrow.
Oh,
So, yes.
what?
Oh,
Amani,
I got lots of updates for you. Yes,
you
tomorrow's pickleball. So I would
you didn't say
say
that in the green room. You held that back, and I even brought up
I
pickleball to
know, I
you.
know, I know.
You
I was gonna say something, but I
withholding
said it.
little rascal.
Yes. So I say I want to start playing in pickleball leagues, both mixed, which is like male, female, and then also male, male, or whatever. So that's personal. And I think I want to continue with my exercise routine because I've got like, 4 days a week on the Peloton and then some light weights. So I want to do that. And then I want to travel to 2 new cities I've never been to before next year.
Ooh, that's
That's
fun. Have
like
you identified the
I have
cities?
not. I'm open to whatever cities there are.
Ooh, drop them in the chat. So people listening, watching, drop cities Amani should go to in the chat. I think
Yes,
that'll be fun too. You could get some ideas like
I could.
right
Yes,
here.
yes. What
That's great.
about you looking to 2025?
Well, I mean, I think professionally, it's get on more stages. I'm on a big sales kickoff. So if you host a sales kickoff, I want to be on your stage, inspiring your salespeople to be the best they can be. And I am also finishing another book that'll come out in
Mm,
2026.
mm.
Oh, this just in: Business Bedside Manner is officially my registered trademark.
Oh, nice.
I
How
Yeah.
did you have to go through a lawyer to do that?
No. Well, I should have, but I didn't. You just go onto the US trademark and patent website. You read many, 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 many pages. You complete a very lengthy application and then you pay, whatever you pay. I think it was like $300 or something like that. And then you have to prove that you are the only one using this. So I had to prove that I was the only one using Business Bedside Manner in the public domain. Now I had trademarked it TM this whole time, but to get the R circle, the registered trademark, you
Oh,
have to prove that you use it more than anybody else. You have to prove a business case for it. So since my keynote speech, one of my top keynote speeches is building your best business bedside manner. And since I train people on how to create their own business bedside manner, and business bedside manner is in a lot of my proposals. It's already out there in the public domain, but they denied me 3 or 4 times, and
oh,
we created a counter argument as to why we need to use this in business, and then they accepted me October 22nd, and then they have to publish it in this global
yeah,
newspaper, and
yeah.
if
Disputes it or
somebody
whatever. Yeah,
disputes it, so I had
yeah.
till November 22nd, so it's official. But I will say this, I could not have done that without Cassie. So
Mm.
Cassie on my team is pre-law. She's going to law school in a year and a half. And so she did a lot of the investigation for it, and she wrote the counter arguments. She sent them to me to review and I gave her a lot of the content for it. But Cassie on my team, actually, that's a huge
Okay.
feather in her cap. I don't know anybody in pre-law that's ever got their own trademark before
Right,
they
right.
ever even stepped foot in law school. So
Yeah.
yeah, anyways. So yeah, I mean, professionally next year, just get on more stages. And I want to continue to grow our podcast and
Yes.
then continue to scale HPN. I love what I'm doing with HPN and service
Yeah.
the heck out of my clients. And then personally, I turn 50 next year.
All
So I
right.
just want to be healthy as I can be on my 50th birthday on August 9th.
I love it. I love
Yep.
it. So we got
Yes.
some cities here. Dean says New Orleans. Kelly McDonald says San Diego, New Orleans, Charleston, and Tahoe. So Charleston and Tahoe
Ooh,
are two options. I've been to San Diego, I've been to New Orleans before, but Charleston and Tahoe are some good options. So I love
that's
it. I
good.
love it. Keep sharing.
I have a
Wo-
question for you.
Yes, go ahead. It's your turn.
Okay. Okay, so Amani just showed me pictures of his book, but, you showed me some pages of the book, which, by the way, it's gonna be an awesome book, an
Yeah.
awesome music book. I have a question because you got all the images from Getty Images.
Mhm.
So, how many Getty Images did you use for your book?
So right now I use, I think it's 135 different images. I had to pay for them, a license through Getty Images. The license costs $4,340, but I
Oh my
get
god.
lifetime use. They don't limit how many pictures the book can be in. I can use them on the cover. It was funny because I had gotten access to certain catalogs that they gave me permission to use, but I had found 25 photos that weren't in the catalog that I had access to. So I had to go back over the summer, over a month and a half, and renegotiate with them to get access to these 24 photos, which were great photos. Like they were really, really good photos. So it took a month and a half, but I got access to that catalog too, which I'm thrilled about. And so that's the photos. And I think there's 134, 132 in the book. I have some extras I can still use in case. And the photos just add such a different element to the book. Like, I mean, I love the whole book, but the
Yeah.
photos really are like, whoa, when you see them like old photos in color and stuff, it's really, really cool.
Like, what are a couple photos you have that you just think are
Oh.
super fun?
There's one of the Gap Band, the three brothers with Charlie Wilson lead. That's one of them. There's a photo I have of TLC when they're super young. That's really good. There's a photo of Jodeci when they're like young and up and coming. That's really good. There's one of, I think it's the Four Tops when they're together. That's good. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers from the 50s, because it's hard to find photos for these groups back in the day that I found. Um, and what else? There's a couple other photos that I love from the 70s. Let me think here. I think it was like, was it the Temptations? It was the Temptations or another group from the 70s. Just like, oh my gosh, these photos are just the Chantels from like the 50s in color. Because you think about it,
Mm,
in the 50s, it's harder to get group photos in color. It's really challenging because color, we take it for granted now, but color photography wasn't guaranteed back in the day.
yeah.
So there's like group photos from like these groups in the 50s and 60s in color that you're like, whoa, there's a great one of the Supremes and the Temptations together. It's really cool. Even a
Mm.
smaller honorable mention group like 3LW, there's a picture from them when they're about to appear. Oh, what's the talk show host? Her name is Jenny. What was her name? Old school talk show host. Her name was the Jenny something show. There's a picture of them together. You're like, wow, like it's just really cool. So the picture is like, oh my gosh, it just really adds another element to the book.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought to do the pictures, and when you just showed me flipping through page by page, it was and where they sat on the charts, that the pictures and then the charts, that was spectacular.
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad. Thank you. That means a lot because that was the vision. So I'm just so
yeah,
excited to share. I just can't wait. It's been a long journey, but it's great.
it's awesome.
Okay, so I have another question. It's kind of heavy, so I might ask it to you, give you a chance to ponder it, and
Okay,
then maybe we come back to it a little later and watch it.
okay.
So this question is, what are the 10 things you want
10?
to well, just relax,
Okay,
relax.
okay.
What are the 10 things you want to do in the next 10 years? I got
Oh,
this question from Mark LeBlanc when he came to speak to us at National Speakers Association in Las Vegas. So I'll put that question, let that kind of stay in the back of your mind, and we can come back to it later on because I thought this was one of the better questions I've heard in a year.
this is a good one. Let's let that simmer,
Let that
and I'm
simmer.
curious about the audience. What
Yes.
are 10 things you might wanna do
Yes.
in the
Put it
next
in the
10
chat
years?
or leave us a
Yeah,
comment if you're listening to this.
yeah.
Um, I'll ask you another one
Okay,
as you ponder that one.
okay.
What's the biggest lesson you learned in 2024?
Ooh. Well, the biggest lesson that I learned in 2024 was to take breaks
Mm,
and, to shut down, go out of office, shut down, and just manage my vibration because I'll tell you, normally this time every year, I'm burnt out. I wanna punch people in the face. I can't do it anymore at this time. But I am so full of energy and life and excitement right now. And I took a lot of breaks this year. I took vacations this year. I think and you don't have to spend the money going on vacation. Just step away.
mhm.
Step away from work and really take some downtime. That was a big lesson I put into practice this year. And at the end of this year, I'm glad I did. So I learned that it works.
Okay, your
Yeah.
turn.
Well, I wanna know well, why don't you answer that?
Oh, we're
What
changing the rules. We're going back and forth.
Yeah,
We're changing
we're
the rules.
bouncing, I'm gonna ask you anything, Amani. I do have a couple questions from people that ask, but well, you answer and then I'll ask a question from the
Okay.
community. So, yeah, what's a big lesson you learned in 2024?
Biggest lesson I learned was maybe, and I'm still learning, that in order to do more, you might actually have to do less. So you might have to take
Mm.
away some things so you can do more, so you can really stay like hyper focused on fewer things instead of doing a bunch of things. And I think what helped me was that 10x is easier than 2x book. That really helped.
Yeah, yeah, you got a lot out of the book. You've referenced
Yeah.
that book a lot.
Yeah, it is.
That's good.
And the audiobook is even better because he interviews the author after each chapter, which gives you further context. So yeah,
Mm.
which
You
reminds
gotta Yeah.
go ahead, keep going. I gotta write down something else.
Okay, you gotta do less if you wanna do more. I love that. Well, I have a question from Kurt Shaver. Kurt
Okay.
Shaver, who we love, a LinkedIn expert who's gonna be on our show next year, but he
Okay.
sent us a note and said, "How do you and Amani balance time between projects and priorities?"
My answer to this question is to try to bucket your time on a daily and weekly basis. Like, for example, I had a really, really big project recording the audiobook. That's been my big project the last month. So I would put time in my calendar that I could only audio record the book, and then I catch up on the weekends. And then everything else, I try to plan around that. I try to only do meetings or calls on Mondays and Fridays. I try to leave
Mm.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays as open as possible. Of course, I could sneak some in there. So that's helped me kind of, I know Mondays and Fridays I might have a lot of calls, and then just try to bucket the time. And it's always a work in process. That's my method. How about you?
You know me, I'm a big fan of time buckets too. I mean, I have certain days and times of the day where I do HPN emails. And when it comes to HPN, I'm very, very focused on the revenue producing activities first. Those are always my priority. And then the non revenue producing activities are secondary. This time of year, where every hotel wants a piece of business closed and every client wants to get the best deal possible, I'm just very hyper focused on revenue producing activities. And then I always make space to plan. So
Okay.
planning is normally on a Friday afternoon. I try not to take any meetings on Fridays. I've been doing these edu calls on Friday afternoons with hotels so I can learn. So I look at Fridays as like a day to learn, to educate, to grow for that next step. And then mornings, manage the mornings. I have found that when I manage my mornings, I RPM, rise, P, meditate, and then, and I stole that from a lady named Mona, by the way. She was in one of my networking groups. She was
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
Mona, RPM.
Mona.
When I manage my mornings like that,
Mhm.
I get a workout in, I shower, I have breakfast. If I'm not gonna have breakfast, I just take a couple minutes to myself. Then I start the day. I am at a better pace throughout the day and I'm just much
Mhm.
better balanced.
Yeah.
But it is difficult, I mean, we're, I'm running 3 businesses, you're running a bunch of businesses. I think you just have to you can't just buckle up your seatbelt and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You've got to be really efficient with time. And then another thing is I am, if I lose a piece of business, I want to learn why and I move
Yeah.
on. I don't let too many things stick on me and I don't gossip because it's super easy, especially in the hospitality industry where everybody knows everybody, to gossip. And I view gossip as something that makes you slow as molasses. I think it's
Good.
something that slows you down. I think it slows your mind down. It slows your physical activity down. So I just try and remain as productive as I can and manage my mornings and use my time buckets.
I love it. RPM.
Mhm.
Keandra Jackson, thank you for joining us. We see you here. Good to
Hi,
see you there.
Keandra,
How we
past
doing?
guests. Yeah,
Yes,
what a great
Pastor.
interview with her we had.
Okay, we have Karen and how about I pronounce your last name? CZUL. I don't know how to say that. Let me know how to say that. Mandy actually just answered this question. Strategic. Okay, we have to see. We have to see that. So Karen Ann asked earlier, what is the first thing you do to prepare yourself for your day? Which RPM? You answer that question. For
Rise,
me,
P, meditate, Karen.
oh, it does. So I might hop out of bed and hop on the Peloton if it's one of the 4 days. Otherwise, I'll walk the dog. I need to do better. I used to do much better at staying off the phone initially. So I got to work on that. I need to get a better alarm clock because the phone is the alarm, which doesn't tend itself. So that's kind of my answers there. But thank you for tuning in, Karen. Let me make sure we
Amani,
got
we
everyone
were
else.
talking about this last year
Ah,
about your alarm
Karen
clock. Okay.
and Zulager. Thank you.
Ooh,
Zulager. Thank you for the pronunciation. Good.
okay.
Yes, we were talking about it. I still need to get a better I have an alarm clock,
Okay.
um, but, I need to use it more. I just need to use it more. I need to trust it more because when I gotta wake up at 4:15, I have my phone as a backup just in case because I can't be missing any plane flights. So,
Did your alarm clock do something? Has your alarm clock not performed? Like, why don't you trust it?
it's been fine. It's just
Oh.
it's an Amani thing.
Oh, okay. Well, trust your alarm clock. What did your alarm clock ever do to you? Trust it.
Exactly.
Just trust it.
So, uh, okay, good. Okay, good. Um You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I have another well, let's see. I have a question here. This is a long question. And I think this is for me, but if anybody in the chat wants to answer this, this is probably good. This is from Hiromi, who is an HPN associate. She said, I have heard that clients claim they didn't have hot showers for a few days in a hotel. The hotel refunded a certain amount of money, but due to the hotel's issue, that shouldn't affect commission. Is this common for hotel disputes to affect commission? Is there any way to avoid this? This is actually a good question because a hotel, if they walk a guest, if
Mhm.
they have to refund something for somebody, and my opinion is no, that shouldn't affect our commission at all. And I think if you ask Bill Kilberg, the CEO of HPN, he would 100% say if it's a hotel's mistake, that's just out of the hotel maintenance budget or the hotel error budget or whatever they
Mhm.
wanna call it. It shouldn't affect our commission. So I'm kinda curious to see that, if she's had that affect her commission because it shouldn't.
Right.
We're compensated by bringing business to the hotel, and we've brought business to the hotel. Now it's up to the hotel to service the client and make sure all of their equipment is working. That's not on us. So we've fulfilled our duties, which is to bring the business. Therefore, we should get the commission. But she also asked, how should we structure contracts to secure commission in some such cases? I think I could talk to her about that offline. But if anybody else is wondering, structuring contracts, you can just put a service clause in the contract. Service
Mm.
clause that protects your customer, a service clause that protects the third party. And I have some service clauses. If you want to send me a DM after, I'm happy to share them with you. But if you're ever worried, maybe you're going into a hotel with a renovation, maybe the hotel site inspection wasn't awesome, but you still have to do the event there and you're worried about the service. I use service clauses all the time that just basically says if the hotel doesn't perform that where it meets the purpose of the event, if the purpose of the event is in jeopardy for any reason, that the hotel will have to compensate the group commensurate to the disruption or the service experience or what have you. So service clause, put a service clause in.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Dean asks a question. He says, as far as podcasting, what is your tech stack? So, tech
Good
stack would include
good
OBS,
question.
Open Broadcasting Software. That would be the tech stack. And then we would also have Libsyn, which allows us to distribute the podcast everywhere. We also use Adobe Premiere Pro to edit the video. We use Ableton Live to edit the audio. Now we have someone that does it for us, but this is what was involved. We use ping.gg for the actual platform that we do it on. We use Restream to broadcast it everywhere. And Sony A6000 camera for me. I have a Ars Audio Technica microphone. I use my Zoom 8.6 for my audio interface. I have a monitor here, a monitor to my left, a monitor to my right. So I'm monitoring everything. Um, yeah, that's
Well,
what we
I
have.
I think too, Dean, other parts of the tech stack, obviously LinkedIn, LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Instagram for promotion, and then we also communicate via Slack with our podcast manager, the pizza production friends.
Yes.
So we communicate via Slack. I love talking about tech stack because people, as soon as you say, "What's your tech stack?" nobody knows what that means. So if you think about what tasks you have in your day and how many pieces of technology or platforms or software you use, that's your tech stack, right? So an
Mm.
average person going to work is out Microsoft Outlook, or
Yeah.
they might use
Yeah.
the Google Suite, or they might use Slack or Teams or Zoom or what have you. But I think knowing what your tech stack is, and then I think finding ways to consolidate your tech stack is really
Yes.
important too.
That's actually, I'm gonna write that down because I've been doing those questions I'm answering. So I need to do one of my favorite musician tech stacks. I'm gonna write that down.
Ooh,
Yes.
your
Yes.
favorite musical tech stacks?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
a good question. Dean, thank you for the question. That was awesome.
Yes. Okay, your turn. Your turn.
Okay, I have a question from Corey Falter that he
Yes.
submitted.
Mhm.
That question is, what's the most exotic event you were ever involved with? Where was it and what made it over the top? So I think the
Exotic.
person earlier asked
Yeah.
us location or
Yeah.
venue, and now we're asking the actual event. And I don't know if it has to be exotic because I sort of take this as like elaborate, like interesting.
Hmm. Exotic, interesting. I don't know if I have an answer for that that I can really say. If I've already signed an NDA, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say in public.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Well, okay, I think I have one for you, Amani, and I don't know if you can
Okay.
announce who you did this for, but you did an event where the opening reception, you were the DJ,
Mhm.
and then the next day, you were a moderator on
Yes.
stage,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So can you talk about that, but
Mhm.
without telling us who the client
Well, I
was?
can tell you who that client was. That was
Okay.
California Charter School Association. That was in
Okay.
March.
Okay.
And in March, I went it was at Long Beach Convention Center, so I DJ'd the opening reception, and the next day I moderated a conversation we had, and, yeah, that's kinda like the double or triple threat that I love to offer clients. I love doing it because I love moderating and then, of course, DJing. So, yes, that was the client, that's what I did. It was pretty easy. I did my research, I had all my questions, I was able to moderate, make sure every one of the 4 panelists were all involved, and the crowd stayed to the end. There was about 2,000 people there. So, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's good. And then I think you also did one where I don't know if you're allowed to say the name of the person, but you did an intro and you were on stage with a pretty famous author,
Mhm.
business person, and because you were texting me from there after. I don't know, you probably can't say, but
Oh, who was when was this? Was
I
this
might
this
have been
year?
last year. I don't
Mm.
remember. You sent me his book like right after. Oh, and it was last year actually. It's 2023.
Dan. Oh, what was his name?
Daniel
Oh,
Pink.
Daniel Pink. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that was a big deal.
So yes, Daniel Pink. So I was the DJ for that event, and then I introduced him, and then someone else interviewed him, but I was there on stage with them. So yes, Daniel Pink. Yes, good
Yeah.
memory.
That's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah, I
super
forget
cool.
sometimes. I forget so many events blend together. So thank you.
Amani, I don't forget anything.
I
What
know, I know. Okay, you ready for your next question? Keep
Yeah.
putting questions in the chat there. I'll make sure we see them all. So keep putting questions there. Um, if you were picking one song that would describe your current mood or feelings about 2024,
Ooh.
what song comes to mind?
I don't know. This is just the first song that came to mind, but I don't know if it's
Oh,
about
oh,
2024, but Brave by Sarah Bareilles.
oh, good song.
Like, say what you wanna say and
Mhm.
let the world. I've been really just saying it lately, just
Okay.
you know, yeah, Brave. I
Mm,
love all the words to that song, and I've been feeling it a lot lately. Although I did just discover Andy Grammer. And I
okay.
know he's old, and I know, anytime I bring this up to people, they're like, "Oh, yeah, Mandy, that's old news." I just discovered him, and he has a song called "Damn, It's Good to Be Me," and it's so positive. He's
Yeah.
got so many great positive songs, so I would think anything in the Andy Grammer, portfolio and Brave. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Mhm.
Your turn.
Oh, I've lost my face, hold on.
That's okay.
Amani,
Take
I've
your time.
gotta jump out and jump back in. I touched the
Okay.
camera. This is
It's
what I
okay.
this
So,
is what
sorry, jump
happens.
out and jump back in.
I'll be back.
Ready? Yes, yes. So, thank y'all for tuning in there. Please continue to put your questions in the chat. I think I see another one from Dean we'll get to soon. Yeah, but keep asking the questions. Great engagement. Mandy is back. Talk to us.
Hi.
Hi.
I Okay, I have another question for you.
Yes.
So, what are some traditions, holiday traditions, whether that's Thanksgiving or Christmas or any other holidays this time of year that you celebrate? What tradition I have a bunch of traditions this time of year. Like, what traditions did you have growing up, or what traditions do you like to continue for yourself?
I think the biggest tradition would be our family would always go for Christmas Day dinner to Baltimore for my dad's side of the family, and everyone would come in town. So we have a really big dinner. There would be some arguments. That's typical, at family dinners. It's very loud,
Mhm.
very engaging, but that would probably be the biggest tradition. Now, family's a little bit smaller, a little bit more spread out. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. Um, but that's the one tradition that I always go back to that I have the most memories of.
You're just gonna start a fight at the table?
Mhm.
Like
I usually am very quiet there. I'm usually
Yeah,
very
I'm sure
quiet.
you
I'm
are.
just listening, sitting in the cut there. So yes, I don't say much.
Do you have any traditions that you started, like, outside of your family that you've done in the last couple of years that are meaningful to you? Or that you want or any ones you wanna start?
So I would say I don't have any traditions yet, but I'm open to trying to start some new. I just had a Friendsgiving, my first one this past Saturday I went to. And so
Mm.
there I baked and brought in chocolate chip cookies and Rice Krispie treats. My first time making Rice Krispie treats, and they were good.
Oh, fun.
So that would be a new one that I like that. That was a good one there.
That is a good one. Yeah, I have, so Thanksgiving week, I have a tradition that I do the day before Thanksgiving called the Ceremony of the Thorns,
Mm,
although last year, one of my
mhm,
friends named it Thornsgiving, and it is some years I've done this by myself and other years I've done it with other people, but, Thanksgiving, the day of, everybody's always grateful, which is awesome. I love to be grateful, but the day before is the Ceremony of the Thorns, where you think about something bad that happened this year, and you think about what you learned from it, what something you got from it, and then whatever it is about that thing that doesn't serve you anymore. So I always like to pick, whether it's like pick up a leaf or you pick a stem or a branch or something, and I hold it in my hand and I share the thorn and I share what I learned. And then you throw as far as you can. You throw what
mhm.
that is away, what doesn't serving you or what you want to let go of it. And I always do that the night before Thanksgiving. So Scoot and
So
I will
then,
do that this week.
since you said that, it's kind of a question, a segue about your thorn, but like, what's your favorite failure of 2024?
Ooh, my favorite failure.
And then
Um,
my follow-up would be, what are you gonna put what do you have an idea what your thorn will be this year?
I do know my thorn, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Tell us
yeah, I
both.
mean, my favorite failure of this year, I think, this is earlier in the year, I would say, like, in January, I had a bunch of travel in December and in January, and I wasn't great at getting back to people, which is so not like me. I'm so responsive, but I was having a hard time keeping up with emails and just keeping up in general. And I got bit. I got a couple clients were upset with me and they should have been. They had every right to be. And I had to spend the rest of the year rebuilding their trust, which I was more than happy to do. I was very grateful that they stayed with me. But yeah, and I think, that was something at the beginning of the year. I sort of thought, well, everyone takes a couple weeks to ramp up. Like it just didn't occur to me that people would hit the ground running January 3rd, like ready to go. And I was traveling. I was traveling for work. I wasn't like traveling for fun. I was
Yeah.
busy working on the road. So, it was a reminder of, like, making sure that everybody has somebody to go to if I'm unavailable and that the people that they have to go to can answer their questions. And if they can't answer the questions, then I'm giving everybody a backup plan or letting them know, "Hey, I'm gonna be out. If you need me, you could text me, and if you don't need me, here's 4 or 5 people that can solve your problems," that kinda thing. So, yeah,
Good.
that was the
Alright.
beginning of the year.
Okay.
Yep.
Over to you.
Oh, my thorn. You were
Your
asking my
thorn.
thorn.
Yes, your thorn. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think my thorn is I think we know my dad is diagnosed with leukemia earlier this year, and it's super sad, but he's doing really, really well, and he got hearing aids, so interacting with him is really fun now.
Good.
It wasn't as great the last 10 years because his hearing sucked,
Yeah.
but I and it's and he and my mom are doing great, and it's a thorn, because nobody wants to get leukemia,
No.
but
No.
the positive that has come from that is it's really brought my siblings and I very close together, and
Mm.
we communicate way more frequently than ever before. We're being very honest, and everybody processes things in a totally different way,
Yeah.
and we've all been giving each other space to process in our own way, which, maybe in the past we might have been a little judgy or we might have been a little like, "Well, I don't process it that way, so they should." But we've
Yeah.
just been really trying to be there for each other. I think that's
Yeah.
been a really positive thing.
I love it.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm.
You're up. And then we'll go to one more from the audience, and then we'll talk about the final question I had. Go for it.
Oh boy, that final question's really looming over
So
our
heavy.
heads.
We can
Yeah.
always make that one a mini if you wanna do some homework too.
Let's do that. Let's make that a mini, because I wanna hear your I think if we do my 10 and your 10, that covers a whole
Yes,
mini.
it
That's a
would.
good 17 minute TED Talk right there. Right
Okay.
there. Okay. Okay, I wanna know, at the beginning of the year, you talked about how you want to improve your sleep. So
Yes.
I wanna know, here we are, we're sitting at the end of the year. How is your sleep today, and what things have you done throughout the year? Because everybody has trouble sleeping, everybody. And I think everybody would probably wanna know any possible tips you can give them on sleep.
Okay. I think my sleeping has improved a lot this year. I'm so proud of the work I did and the focus. I think there's a couple keys that have helped me. First one, I would say by far is going to bed earlier. Just going to bed earlier. I used to maybe stay up late and be on the computer looking at screens like really late, like 10:30, 11:15, then say, welcome, so hop in bed and go. It would never work. I'd wake up. I
Mhm.
noticed the past few weeks that if I happen to be working late on the screens, I don't sleep well. So that's obviously an effect. I think also this Aura ring that we talked about last time, it helps me monitor it so I can see what's working, what's not working. And I got
Good.
this in like April or May. So that's working. Definitely trying to finish eating everything by at least 4 hours before I sleep is really, really important. Doing that. I think the added challenge that on Tuesday mornings I get up at 4:15. And so I find myself catching up on sleep Wednesday, well, really Wednesday and Thursday and Friday maybe. So it's kind of lengthened the time period to catch up. But I do get to sleep pretty well. Um, Also going to the bathroom like right before, like that's just important.
Yeah.
Um, in the summer, it's really, really hot here, so just staying cool, a little dehumidifier in the room helps, all these things. So I think
Yeah.
it's gotten better. I can't wait for it to get even improve even more. But I would say at this now, I'm sleeping better than I was last year and earlier in the year. It continues to get better.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Amani,
Yeah.
this time last year, you were really tired and you
Yeah.
were really
It's rough.
worried about your sleep. Like it
Mhm.
was in fact, I know you would get mad sometimes because I'm up at like 4:45 in the morning and I would text you at like 6 and you're like, "Why are you texting me so early?" I'm like, "I've been up for 2
Yes.
hours." Like,
Yes.
so
So it's
I'm glad, and I don't expect anybody to get up early. That's stupid. That's just how I'm wired. But I'm really
yeah.
glad that you figured out a sleep thing.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's great.
Cool. Okay.
What do we have
Um
in the chat? We have any other questions
So
in the chat?
Dean asks, going into the new year and new administration, what is the state of the industry in your opinion?
Ooh. I mean, the state of the hospitality industry, I think everybody's really just wait and see. I don't think anybody can make any moves on anything until we know what everything looks like. I think it's just a real wait and see. I have been noticing different clients of mine have been having layoffs, but that's not hospitality. I mean, one is a um just different I'm not going to say the industries, but you'll
Mhm.
different industries outside of hospitality have been having layoffs, I think in preparation of
Yeah.
what's next. And, that's always gonna have a ripple effect on the hospitality industry, you know, if that means that meetings may get canceled, or it means there may be new meetings, like, it all just
Mhm.
depends, but I personally am in a real wait and see mode, and I will say this about the hospitality industry, and I wrote an article about it a while ago, I might just repurpose it, is whenever you have a change in administration, whenever you have a potential recession or an economic downturn, there's always business to be found. There's
Mhm.
always a reason for that particular downturn to happen, and there's always business to be generated from it. So, you know, I would just look at your own business and say, "Okay, during this time frame, what makes money? During this time frame, what doesn't make money, but what can make money?" And just start pulling the levers on them. That's how I sort of look at it. But I'm not really I don't wanna say I'm not worried about it. I just think we have to wait and see,
Yeah.
and then we've gotta be really strategic and act when we need to act, if we
Yeah.
need to act. Yeah.
To add, I think I got both eyes open, gonna watch and listen a whole lot. Might not say much, but I'm gonna watch and listen. And when there's certain opportunities that present themselves, pursue them. And then, I get some data that's probably not public about like hospitality programs across the state of California. Are they getting more students to apply to major, getting less? So you'll see like some places are struggling with admissions and with signups. Other places are maybe treading water, kind of doing well. And there's a very few that are increasing. So I look at that in terms of students and younger professionals in the industry and just kind of pay attention. I think with any administration, there's going to always be opportunities. You just have to keep your eyes open and pay attention and just follow the signs.
Good question. Thanks, Dean.
Yes. Thanks, Ian. Okay. We're at time. Is there anything you want to close out and share with the people, or one final quick question or anything?
Hmm. I don't know about question, but I have a statement.
Okay.
Is I think one of the greatest things that I've seen great leaders do this week, or that's not this week, this year, is give back. And when you give back, you don't always have to give money. You can build the bench of your industry by if you happen to be at a restaurant and you see somebody doing really well, like a bartender or a hostess, ask them what they want to do with their world and make a connection. If you're going to a conference, invite somebody that might not be able to afford the conference and host them, sponsor them. If you are a senior person in the industry, whatever industry you are in, give that junior person 30 minutes of your time. And if it's not at the conference, let them know, hey, I want to help you build your personal brand, your personal business, your status in this industry. Let's have a phone call. I think sometimes we think we give back, it's a monetary donation, but there's just so many ways to give back. And I saw so many great leaders giving of their time or their expertise or making connections or introductions or tagging people or following people this year that it really inspired me to do the same. And I just want to remind people to give back. It's not always a financial thing, but if you're 40 or older and you are in your industry for more than 10 years, look for opportunities to build the bench and to give back. And do it unconditionally, but it always pays you back. But don't do it to pay you back. Do it because you want to, but just know it will pay you back.
And with that statement, we'll say thanks to everyone for tuning in, asking questions in the chat. This has been another lovely Ask Me Anything. We'll have to do these more frequently because this was really, really good.
Yeah, it's
Make sure
fun.
to rate, review, and subscribe on the platform you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend. And with that, we'll see you next week for another mini. Who's our guest for next week? Do we have anyone
Yeah,
on the schedule?
we do. We got a great guest. We have Jordan Silverman,
Okay.
CEO of Starfish, talk about an emerging leader and a really interesting person. So we've been trying to have him on all year, and the stars and the moon finally aligned. We'll have him next week.
All right, let's go. So, once again, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to Manny. Enjoy your holiday.
You too.
And we will see everyone next week.
See you
Bye,
next week.
everyone.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.